You guys know the story about us, the story about how we got here, how there was nothing and then there was everything. How every time you look up into the night sky, you're seeing the light from the furthest corners of the cosmos. How those very same lights guided our ancestors across the savannas, deserts, oceans, and forests. This was a time where we satisfied our curiosity by going on adventures and exploring what the world had to offer. We spent our days looking for food with our closest friends. Sometimes we went hungry, and other times we lost our comrades to an even hungrier beast. We grieved our loss together. We celebrated the lives of those who fell and hoped that their spirit lives on. We developed connections to the land, to its inhabitants, and to the natural elements that we are at the mercy of. Our tribes were not static. Friends were continually moving between tribes, and we were always prepared to wander the lands in hope for greater prosperity. But we could not do so without the help of other tribes. We traded resources between each other, for we had skilled individuals in spear manufacturing, but we lacked the skills to build the hooks that fish hung from. Our culture grew alongside our tribes and social networks. We developed rituals marking significant life events of individuals. We established ceremonies to express our gratitude we had to the earth, to our life source, and these ceremonies were often led by elders who could guide us spiritually. We turned to these spiritual leaders to calm us in times of resource scarcity. We heard rumors of other larger tribes praising divine beings, the creators of everything. It seemed a strange concept that there could be these powerful entities lurking in our world. We believed that all life was connected, and that once we do leave this world, we may live on somewhere else. It was believed that everything on this planet is for us, to aid our survival, perhaps to improve our living conditions. If everything is here for us, we should use the resources how we see fit. This might explain why we drove all the megafauna around the world to extinction. Maybe there was an omnipotent being who was responsible for everything we have and for everything we lost. But this did not matter, for we had a mighty brain powered by the extra energy fire unlocked in our food. And with the ability to share stories amongst each other, we could cooperate like no other animal. What we lacked in strength and individual intelligence, we made up with our complex social structures. As one theory goes, there was a plant that tricked us: wheat. It grew all over our trails as we foraged for grain. As we accidentally spread this contagious seed, we naturally ate more of it. With the extra calories wheat brought us, our numbers increased further. Before long, we found ourselves to be farmers, preparing the land and growing food instead of hunting and gathering. Soon our numbers would be too large that we could not hunt and gather enough food to nourish us, which meant we could not easily pack up camp and move somewhere else. We had no choice but to stay. We were stuck. Society became more complex. The concept of this omnipotent being became normalized, and we accepted it. We started to build cities, and for the first time ever, these cities had a ruler. Life became more and more separated from the natural world. And as the separation grew, so did our sense of freedom, because now many of us were slaves, peasants, working under the watchful eye of God. Or at least that's what we were told. Some areas of work became easier once we learned to utilize the power of beasts. Our cities grew in population as our productivity increased. This meant that different areas of work were now required, and so individuals became more specialized. Increased specialization resulted in innovation, solving a variety of problems life faces. Empires emerged and empires fell. Populations exploded and soon collapsed, either by disease, which had now become a part of life due to our dirty cities, famine, since we could no longer relocate and thus trade networks were not available to our aid, war, from being invaded by nearby armies seeking wealth, or from unsustainable growth because there were too many of us to support, and so life regressed. We rose and fell, much like how the tide comes in and recedes. And this was life. A constant struggle, a state of suffering felt so widespread as if it was ingrained into all of us. But along the way, we learned so much about the world, from mathematics to biology. With thanks to our curiosity, creativity, and ingenuity, scientific discoveries accelerated in the 17th, 18th, and 19th century. We learned about the fundamental forces, thermodynamics, and developed the first vaccine. Then, by unleashing the chemical energy embedded in a black rock, scientific, economic, and social advancements progressed rapidly. The 20th century had more discoveries than any other 100-year period before it. These advancements in human knowledge have made us acutely aware that this story of us is not about us. There was an entire history of evolution before us, from the Big Bang to the creation of nebulas, to the birth of stars, providing the light and heavy elements that will one day in the distant future form the Earth. This space rock will cool, and icy comets will melt, forming what we call oceans. Somehow in the depths of these oceans lurked an ancient bacteria, and it remained this way for a very long time. But somehow the bacteria evolved to convert carbon dioxide into oxygen, slowly forming the atmosphere that we have today. And then this happened.
Hey. What took you so long?
And so we are just primates who can watch YouTube videos, lost and confused in a universe that we are trying so desperately to understand. We, the species who become the most dominant force on a planet that is orbiting a not so big star in a pretty average solar system, which is only one of many solar systems which reside in our galaxy, the Milky Way. And our galaxy is only one of billions of galaxies in our universe. Well, the observable universe. Who knows what lies beyond the boundaries that we can see? While you are working so hard for that promotion, so that you can spend 2 weeks in a year sunbaking in a beachside resort and sipping on pina coladas, there are entire galaxies being devoured by ultramassive black holes. And maybe there is life within these galaxies, entire worlds spaghettified into oblivion. Perhaps one day, if we survive long enough, that will be us, sucked into the singularity where a banana becomes indistinguishable from a person. And that is the fate of the entire universe. Everything will be engulfed in these cosmic giants, until only they remain, roaming around endless space, slowly evaporating, until even them vanish, and then there is nothing. Even if we do not meet our doom in such a spectacular way, the great age of the human race will come to an end. That is inevitable. It may be due to our own doings in the not too distant future, and sometimes I think, would that be so bad? But that is not for me to decide. If we can forget about the inevitable death of the universe and our species, we also know that each one of us will follow suit. That one day, maybe sooner than you think, everyone you love and everyone you care about will be turned into ashes or decay into a congealed mess of flesh and bone. That all of us, unless you are written into the history books, will be forgotten. Close your eyes. Count to 1. That is how long forever feels. And that is what our existence is reduced to. And so this is not the story about how Earth became to be the planet of the apes. This is the story of a species' search for meaning and hope they could lighten the existential load.